Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today for Elcom's webinar, Drive Successful Digital Transformation in Your Not-for-Profit. We're really excited to have everyone with us today, and thank you very much everyone for making time. For a quick introduction, my name is Josh Hansey. I'm the Customer Solutions Director at Elcom, and on the line with us as well in the webinar is James Winston, Business Development Manager at Elcom. We'll be running you through today's webinar and the really interesting discussion around digital transformation in your not-for-profit. The agenda for today's webinar is focused around how do we solve those key business challenges in not-for-profit organizations. So we work with a lot of not-for-profit organizations, so we're going to be sharing some of those tips and insights. We're also then going to give you a quick introduction to Elcom, and we'll wrap that up with a Q&A session, as we've mentioned. So really today, we want to work out and discuss how we can help solve those key business challenges we see happening in a lot of not-for-profit organizations. There's a lot of similarities across different not-for-profit organizations, and then obviously everyone is a little bit different and unique in their own right. But there are a lot of similarities, and I think it's great to be able to understand what are some of the organizations going through, what are some of the challenges they're having, how are they solving those with technology and with digital, and then obviously what you can take on board in your own organization and try to benefit from and get quick returns on. So to start that, I think a real big challenge is around an organization's web presence. How do they grow donations? How do they increase membership? That's really a key driver or key challenge that we see a lot of organizations have. And so I'll let James walk you through what are some of those challenges and how do organizations solve them.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there with regards to one of the key challenges is using the web presence to grow donations and membership, while also driving that NDIS funding. So we, in our research and our experience, we've identified 4 key areas around improving that web presence. And they are design for your audience, key focus of the website, helping people move forward, and making it easy for staff to keep it updated. So just starting with the first point, design for your audience, it's always important to have a think about what motivates them. Why are they visiting your site, and what are you looking for them to achieve when they do visit your site? And is this going to change during the different life stages? Coming to determining the key focus of the website, it's important that you look at things to ensure that it's fast loading, it has user-friendly navigation. So where people want to go, whether it's a donation page or information, they can find that very quickly. A big thing is mobile responsive design and also consistent branding. So you want to make sure that, whether they're flicking between, the landing page or, the different pages throughout the site, there is that consistent branding so people know where they are, the branding's the same, and you're always getting your message across. Helping people move forward, I think it's important to think about what action you want them to take when they visit the site. What are they there for? Consider things like having quick links, sticky navigation menus, sidebar menu, and CTAs, just a way for people to get the information they want as quickly as possible, and they can address that action as quickly as possible. And finally, make it easy for staff to keep it updated. It sounds obvious, but having a link to a website, an easy to use CMS, and just get your publishers to test the demo or sandbox site for any shortlisted vendors as well, just to make sure that what they are doing is going to be easy and they can update and manage that themselves. So coming to a first case study that we're going to look at, and it's a not-for-profit called One Door Mental Health, previously known as Schizophrenia Fellowship of New South Wales. But One Door Mental Health, they help people living with mental illness and their families find an inclusive community, innovative services, and advocacy support. So when they looked at improving their web presence, one of the key focuses of the redesign was to drive NDIS marketing. So the content highlights the benefits of the NDIS to clients and shows how One Door Mental Health can assist clients in navigating the NDIS. So there were a few very clear steps that they went through depending on where clients are in their NDIS journey. So the first one was the stage of awareness. They wanted people to register online to attend information sessions and just to raise that awareness around the NDIS. Secondly is inquire. How do they apply for the NDIS? They wanted to make it easy for people to be able to make those inquiries on the website, and then selecting. So finding the right services for the client. There's a multitude of services that are available, and they wanted to make that as easy as possible for people visiting the site in order to access those services and which ones were the right ones for them. So moving along to one of the next, I guess, key business requirements that not-for-profit organisations are looking to solve, and it's looking at fostering that engagement and collaboration among your community. So Josh, I'll hand that back to you and let you cover this one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one around, how do you actually get engagement with the community and the users you're working with, and how do you help them collaborate? And there's definitely 4 key points I think that are really important for not-for-profit organizations to focus on. The first is providing your staff and volunteers with access to user-generated content, whether that be through things like blogs or videos or images or activity streams, or getting notified about certain information, but really providing them the ability to contribute and provide that information and knowledge, as well as get access to it. The others around personalized profiles. So letting users set up profiles on your solution so that other people can find the right expert in the organization, whether it's internally across staff, or whether it's with your volunteers, or whether it's with, for example, members who are trying to find the right person in the organization to talk to. So letting them set up those personalized profiles and making it a lot more of a human engagement or interaction over there. The third is around creating online workspaces. So if you're thinking about all the work that's done in the organization, whether it's different activities, whether it's projects, whether it's certain campaigns or events you might be running, how do you set up an online collaboration workspace for that, where you can share the latest documents, events calendars, for example, news streams, training or onboarding for certain users. So how do all the volunteers do a range of onboarding and learn about the organization, set up an FAQ section, frequently asked questions. And the fourth is around engaging staff beyond really the professional, I guess, face-to-face environment, but creating that online space where they've got that social collaboration and that social engagement. So a real key challenge a lot of organizations have is fostering that engagement and collaboration in the greater community. Those are some of the key points to follow. If we look at a great example, an organization I want to showcase and talk about what they've done is Asthma Australia. So if we have a look at what Asthma Australia have done, they really wanted to enable their community to connect and really encourage each other to use social collaboration tools. And so with the LCOM platform, they actually set up online workspaces for different states and specific projects where users could jump in, and it provided a range of functionality. So that functionality, for example, finding relevant staff, depending on the team workspace they were working on, or the project or the state they were in, enabling staff to actually get access to key dates, whether it's information's due, or there's board meetings, or whether there's events running, or certain campaigns that are going on. And that included providing access to areas such as meeting minutes and brochures, as well as quick links to areas such as forms and policies and procedures, and also contacting other members. And the final area to touch on what they did, which was really interesting, was setting up social collaboration, social Q&A, where staff could post updates, other staff could like the comments, they could reply to the comments, they could upload a document or an image, and really create that online collaboration to foster that engagement across the business. So it's a really, really great example of how a not-for-profit organisation, Asthma Australia, have used the LCOM platform to facilitate this collaboration. And another key area, I guess, moving on, James, I'll let you talk about this one, is around sharing news and updates and, I guess, success stories across the organisation. So I'll let you talk through that one.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And again, I think this is a really important area with any not-for-profits. It's being able to share that news, those updates and success stories, and just communicate with your community, whether it's internally or externally, but in particular via an easy-to-use interface. We've identified, coming to 4 points that, this is really helping not-for-profits in order to share those news and updates. So the first one, communicate with all internal and external users. So you've got to remember, the community, it is large, and there's a vast array of people, regardless of location, role, whatever it may be. And you can do this communication by things like news articles, blogs, social posts, dynamic newsletters that are a little bit more personalized and target, head office workers, just between workers, things like that, where there's a vast audience, and you can communicate with all of those, whether they're internal or external. The second one, so creating personalized views and content. You want to make it relevant, and that's probably one of the key points here, is make that information, make that content as relevant as possible, because it's going to improve that engagement and keep people coming back and looking to digest more information. So, depending on their team, department or location, all of this can be personalized, and, you can separate local, national news, states, things like that. So yeah, very important to keep it as relevant as possible. Create online spaces for different teams as well. So give people the ability to share blog posts, photos, social posts from local projects and campaigns. It doesn't have to all blend into the one brand or one campaign. It can be a variety of campaigns and projects going on where people can feel like they're really part of a tight group, and you can share that progress and share those posts. And then finally, keep your clients and supporters updated on your journey. This ultimately builds trust. So share news on your progress and journey towards your mission with your clients and supporters on your website, newsletters, anything that's going to just share that sort of information and keep people involved and engaged. And as I mentioned before, ultimately this is going to build trust and encourage people to keep coming back and ultimately increasing that engagement. So moving along to another of our case studies, and that's Heart Kids. So coming back to the idea of sharing the news and updates, the success stories via an easy-to-use interface, Heart Kids have 4 major campaigns throughout the year. So one of those campaigns is called Sweetheart Day. Held on Valentine's Day, it encourages the public to host a fundraising event at their work, home or school in support of improving the lives of children with heart disease. So Heart Kids, they created a separate microsite to their main website to communicate information about the event. They added the element of gamification, and this showcased the top individual and team contributors to encourage others to keep raising funds, and just made it a little bit more, as the name suggests, of a game. You could see live updates, and people makes it a little bit more competitive, and it encourages people to keep donating. And then there's also the transparency. So with continuous up-to-date amounts raised by individuals and teams, people are constantly keeping track. They can, see how everyone else is doing and look to create that encouragement and team atmosphere to encourage those donations. And ultimately, it allows supporters to be proud of their achievement. The public can see firsthand how much support Sweetheart Day has received, and it really does become a much larger event on a personalised microsite for that particular event. But it does create those live updates, and it encourages people to keep donating. So when we move along to another key business challenge, it's looking at simplifying and automating the event management process. Certainly, event management, can be difficult, but looking at that simplification, I'll hand over to Josh and let Josh address this key business requirement.
Thanks, James. And there's definitely probably not too many not-for-profit organisations out there that don't run events and have fundraisers and campaigns and ways to engage their users. So it's really about trying to automate that and make it a lot easier. And there's a few different ways to look at it. It's definitely, how do we make it a lot easier for your staff to run really busy, complex events? How do we automate as much of the manual processes as possible? So, for example, letting users fill in forms online to register to attend, pay for the event or donate online. How do we automatically add them to the registration list so that we can send them the email reminder and confirmation? How do we schedule those post-event emails so that we can follow up with the right information, whether it be providing access to additional information or services or requesting additional donations? And then also getting the feedback from the users. So once everyone's attended the event, how do we get your members or your donors to be able to provide some feedback in a really easy way? And whether you remind them through things like SMS alerts or email alerts. And then the big thing is when you're running multiple events, whether it's weekly, monthly, every quarter, every year, is having the information and the statistics from previous years so you can actually compare them and look at how many registrations you got, what the feedback was like, and how you improved the performance. So it's really important to ensure that your CMS platform lets you create sections of your existing site or microsites to be able to manage those events you're running throughout the year, whether they're big major events or whether they're smaller events. But it's really important to help bring that all in one central location. So from an end user experience perspective, they don't have to go to 10 different systems to do it. It's all part of their web experience with you or their member portal experience with you. If we have a look at a really good example over here, One Door Mental Health. James mentioned earlier who they are and what they do. So One Door Mental Health, they manage a lot of their events and registrations and bookings through their website, which is all powered by the Elcom platform. And that includes bookings that have online payments. And from that, there are tons of reports that are generated from all the different event forms. And that provides the organization with instant up-to-date information that they can understand how many registrations do we have and what level of interest do we have for this specific event or campaign. James mentioned some of the events and activities they do, and with the Wellness Walk and Festival, it's a key fundraising event they run every single year. And with Elcom, they're actually running a standalone microsite specifically for that event. It's actually integrated to a third-party tool as well, so there's a lot of integration we do to other platforms. And it enables their users and participants to actually log into their sites and their accounts and actually manage things like their registration, print off their tickets, and really providing that one-stop shop. So it's enabling the members, the participants, to have a self-service experience when they're engaging with One Door. And it helps make the process a lot more efficient. It helps reduce the reliance on staff to do specific manual admin tasks and helps free them up to spend more of their time talking to and engaging with their members. So a really good example there around events and what they can do. Now, talking about freeing up staff, improving efficiency throughout the organisation, another key challenge, and James is going to walk through some ways to help improve that.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And look, it's certainly a word that we hear thrown around a lot, and that's efficiency. But it's looking at ways at how we can improve efficiency throughout your not-for-profit organisation. And we've identified 3 key areas that can certainly help you improve efficiency. The first one is offering a members-only area on your website that's going to be integrated with your key business areas. So basically what this is going to allow your organisation to do is, or your members, is show them the history with their organisation. They can update contact details, membership, donation management, discussion boards, training, all in one central location. So rather than having a lot of siloed systems and the update of information requires 3 or 4 steps, it can all be done in the one simplified place, one portal that's allowing all of their members to just stay engaged with the not-for-profit organisation, but also being able to engage and interact. The second thing is to look at automating your business processes, so making your forms and workflow digital. So basically what we're saying is move all your forms and workflow online for things like volunteer registration, annual leave. All this information can be collected correctly and in a standardized way. You can link this with automated workflows as well. So you can automatically send out notifications to the right person, depending on the form fields chosen to view and or approve. So basically, rather than having people fill out forms manually, send emails, whatever it may be, all of this can be done in a simplified, standardized approach. And ultimately, this is going to create more time in the office. It can be exported or automatically entered into your third-party systems. So whether that's your CRM, your fundraising management software, any of these can be utilized, and it's certainly going to streamline a lot of those processes. And finally, look at online learning, implement an online learning platform. This is going to allow you to create, track, manage, and measure training programs for all workers all over the world. So regardless of location, you can look at things like onboarding, upskilling, product training, even knowledge checks, just to keep a track of how everyone is going. What's different countries, different locations. All of this can be tracked, monitored, and there's a lot of transparency around the different members' progress when it comes to training. So moving along to the Medical Protection Indemnity Society. So they're a service that has a 40,000 membership base. Basically what their membership website enables is it allows members to access up-to-date research, resources, manage membership details, and download membership documents and a whole lot more, all in a centralized place. So as you can imagine, with 40,000 members, having to do this manually, having to share this information with emails and, standard forms, it becomes a lot more difficult. So, they've certainly looked to improve that efficiency by creating these online portal areas where their members can access this sort of information. Their website also pulls in data from third-party business systems and surfaces information directly to members. So again, this allows them to see any requested information in one centralized place. They don't have to request that information from a physical person. They can simply click on a link or get that information to be surfaced from these systems. And finally, they use the online training manager. So combining this with things like automated emails, SMS alerts, they've got a risk education dashboard, allows them to deliver some effective training to their members online. Specialists and trainers can deliver online training webinars and Q&A sessions to right around the world and nationwide. So that's certainly improved their efficiency, when it comes to tracking, reporting, and just showing that transparency amongst their database when it comes to any of that training and creating dashboards and alerts and things like that. So the final point we'll touch on, and it's probably, again, it's a key area. It's ensuring that staff have access to information regardless of location, and it's up to date at any time. I'll hand over to Josh and get Josh to take you through this slide.
Thanks, James. And that's definitely an area that I get really excited about as well, because I think one of the challenges a lot of organizations spend a lot of time focusing on your members or donors or external users, and that's obviously really, really important. But at the same time, I think it's really important to ensure that your internal users, your staff, have access to the right information they need, and they're all on the same page, because as you grow, and at the end of the day, they're the users that are having that interaction and conversation with members or donors or potential members. And so it's really important that you're providing them with the tools to get access to the information they need. And there's a few key areas to focus on. I think the first is building a repository of digital assets, whether that be things like access to documents and policies and procedures, or images and forms and brochures and any type of information they need that's going to be really easy to access in a mobile-friendly way, anywhere, anytime. The next is making sure it's really easy to search for it. So enabling the users to jump in and quickly search for what they're looking for, making sure that you've got the associated metadata and keywords tagged with those assets you have there, so users can quickly jump in and search and filter for what they're looking for. The next is version control. So over time, we know policies change, legislation changes, your focus or campaigns may change. So you want to make sure that when those users are getting access to that information that they're sharing with your members or potential members, it's the most recent version of it and up to date. Different security permissions, protecting classified and important documents is also really important. So inevitably, you're going to have a range of documents and information that are going to be internal only, and then some that are going to be for external organization users and members and donors. And so it's really important to make sure that you've got the appropriate permission around that. Capturing knowledge of workers is also a really important one. So there's a huge amount of information and knowledge, expertise, domain expertise that would be living inside, I guess, the brains of everybody in the organization. And so it's really important to be able to set up an online workspace for users to be able to share that knowledge and essentially have knowledge management as part of the platform there, whether it be through user-generated content, blogs, pages of content in a knowledge base, whatever it might be. But then that makes it easier to be more efficient because we can share that across the organization. And the final one is setting up a web page with an FAQ section, whether it's document management as part of that, commenting sections and links to different resources, so that it's a one-stop shop and it provides them access to the information they need. A really fantastic example over here is the Fred Hollows Foundation. So they've got employees working globally on the platform, and they're using the Elcom solution for their intranet and digital workplace, and that really enables them to deliver up-to-date information that is accessible anywhere in the world to their users. That includes things like country-specific programs, communications materials, policies, forms, calendars, guides, the list goes on. They also enable their staff to access a handbook that's specific to their country or their position, and that includes information around getting started, benefits, learning and development, information about your role and their internal recognition program. And then the final one is the single sign-on, so ensuring that you provide that really easy digital experience and support that single sign-on for the users across the organization with different systems. So they've done that really nicely, and it's a really great example of an Elcom client delivering fantastic digital workplace and intranet collaboration functionality to staff internally. Before we jump into the Q&A session, just a quick introduction to Elcom for those that aren't familiar with Elcom and who we are. It's just a very, very quick introduction. Elcom is a globally recognized digital transformation and digital workplace platform. We enable non-profit organizations to easily engage with their members, donors, staff, and volunteers in a personalized and engaging way. Elcom has over 100 modules of functionality that make it really easy for you to manage your not-for-profit's digital strategy online, including online forms for registration and donation, online payments, events management, membership management, and team collaboration. With Elcom, you can also integrate Elcom to a range of other platforms and solutions you might be using, such as fundraising and CRM platforms. So let's jump into the Q&A session. On the right-hand side in the GoToWebinar panel, please remember to jump in and ask any questions there. James, do you want to maybe read out some of the questions that have come through?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Josh. So the first question we've had come through is they've asked, can the collaboration tools be used for volunteers?
Yeah, good question. So we were definitely talking about collaboration there, and I know we'd mentioned a little bit around internal staff and users. You can definitely use those for volunteers, and I think it's a really good way to activate the volunteers as part of the organisation, is letting them have an online place to collaborate and to communicate. So yeah, there's definitely the ability to use those collaboration tools for your volunteers and really empower them as much as you're empowering your internal team.
Fantastic. So the next question, how are other not-for-profit organisations using technology as part of their digital transformation to keep members engaged?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Digital transformation is obviously such a big topic and a big category, and there's so many different areas. Excuse me. So if we look at, breaking up into key different pillars and sort of delving into that, if we're looking at key solutions, so we're looking at maybe member portals, for example, and letting members jump in and get access to relevant information or relevant events or relevant news, for example, or policies and procedures. And really the big thing is around that dynamic personalization for those members. So if you log in and you're a member and you're working with a not-for-profit organization for a certain service, for example, how do we ensure that you're getting access to really personalized and relevant information around that service? Or for example, if you're based in a certain state, it's really important for you to get access to events and information that's relevant to that state over there versus a one that you're never going to be in. So for example, if you're based in New South Wales and you don't travel that often, you're more interested in going to events that are in New South Wales versus events that are in Queensland, for example, because you're not in Queensland. So you want to be able to provide that information where you as an organization understand how do we deliver personalized information for users, but at the same time, how do we let them opt into areas they might be interested in, because maybe they're only working with us in one area, but you'd like to let them opt into other areas. So it's really important to work out how to use the platform, use the technology as part of that broader digital transformation strategy, but then really in an individual, relevant and really practical way, such as letting users personalize the type of information they get access to. And it's really a key way to keep users engaged and keep them coming back to the site.
Yeah, fantastic. There's one more here that I'll ask. Are the solutions designed to be mobile responsive?
Yeah, it's a good question. And we didn't focus on mobile as a specific area. 100%, yep, completely mobile responsive. Really, all solutions got to be mobile and tablet responsive for users to be able to get access to the information they want. And it's a really interesting discussion when we go through the design process as well with clients, is how do we design the solution in the right way that's going to be engaging for users on mobile and tablet devices and help them achieve what they're trying to do and surface the right information as quickly and easily so they don't have to, click through to 5 or 6 different screens, for example. So yeah, definitely everything is designed and built to be mobile responsive, and it's a really interesting discussion around how do we make it as relevant as possible.
Okay, fantastic. One more question, and I'll answer this one. And the question is, how effective is onboarding and compliance training with remote users? And I think it's extremely effective. It's a great way to increase your reach, increase your engagement, and allow people that are at a distance, that dispersed member force, those dispersed members that don't have access to capital city infrastructure. They don't have the ability to come in and complete some of this training, and it allows you to have compliant members, allows people to be onboarded, allows people to be up to date with training and things like that, regardless of location. It means they can jump on, they can see where their shortfalls are when it comes to training units and what they need to do to complete these, to stay up to date. So I think, yeah, certainly for remote users, that online onboarding and compliance training is extremely effective. And just finally, we've got one more question. How important is an online and live corporate directory for not-for-profits? Josh, do you want to jump in, or do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, happy to jump in over there. I think it's, obviously really, really important to be able to find access to the right person you need to be able to contact. It obviously helps to save the efficiency of how much is the phone ringing if people can get access to the person they need as quickly and easily as possible. Whether that's internal with staff or whether that's with volunteers, having a volunteer directory or a member directory or whatever it might be. But yeah, I think these days everyone's really comfortable with getting access to the right contact details of people they need, and they don't want to jump through too many hoops. So if you can remove that friction and the unnecessary steps in between, it's just going to really improve that overall experience as part of the digital transformation project you're running, and really make the organization run a lot smoother. So yeah, really important to have that as part of the overall strategy. So yeah, just to sort of wrap up, just want to say a quick thank you very much to everyone for joining today. Really appreciate your time, and really great to be able to discuss the whole idea around how do we actually drive a successful digital transformation in your not-for-profit organization. Hopefully you found today's webinar really interesting and got some great useful tips from it, and you've seen some of the practical case studies of what other organizations have done. Please remember to opt in for us to have a conversation around what you're trying to do and to assist you with that consultation we discussed, if that's an area of interest. Please feel free to contact us with any other questions you might have. But yeah, really appreciate everyone's time, and we look forward to working with you and your team to help drive your digital transformation strategy. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today.